Hello and welcome to the Game Week 4 review and lineup for Game Week 5 coming up for Forged in Fire. As you can see at the top, I didn't really have a great week on points. It's my lowest one so far, but it looks like the whole league itself didn't have a really great week as I actually jumped up. I think it was 13 spots. I believe I was at 38 last time. So despite a horrible week points wise, still going up the ranks, which is good. 25 isn't bad. I thought this week was going to be fantastic after that first game between Pacific and Valor. I had brought in McNaughton for this game, although I brought him in a week early, but I sat him the previous week intentionally. And I brought in Blasco, and Blasco scored, and McNaughton got the clean sheet, which was crazy because McNaughton caused a penalty that was basically was really well saved by the Pacific goalkeeper. It was his first game in. I believe it was Irving. And then Correo just blasted it over the bar with an open net. Like, I couldn't have got much luckier in that way. So that was 4 points for McNaughton clean sheet and an additional point for Blasco because midfielders get 1 point. And that was good because anyone that had Correo not only didn't get the goal, but got -2 points for missing a penalty too. So that worked out really well in that game, and that shot me up to 14th overall at the time. And everything was looking good, and then the rest of the games happened, and what turned out that was going to be a good week that started out with 14 points with 2 players, and I basically just doubled that with the rest of my 9 players in the lineup, which is a little sad. So going through, I've already explained my Pacific players. A good result for Pacific, getting back into the hunt. But the Forge game, it was actually a really exciting game for the most part. Again, Forge just this season, aside from Edmonton, who is in last, but they dominated Edmonton. But Forge just doesn't look like they're playing as good as they were. Their defense isn't looking as strong. Edgar looked slower than last year, which granted he is an older player now, but I still was expecting more from him than I've seen this year. 2 goals against, so Henry only gets 1 point. Kind of unlucky, no one was really arguing with the handball by Crutzen that led to the penalty that won York 9 the game, but it's just unfortunate because, I guess it didn't get to 4 goals, so I didn't do a minus point because of that, but as a Forge fan, I was kind of disappointed with that. Sabak did get the assist, so a little bit of silver lining on that strong start to the second half that Forge had to tie the game at 2 before they let in that penalty. Becker was kind of he didn't do much and got subbed off at half, which sucks. We didn't even get that second point for playing. But the only good thing is a lot of people had Becker captained, which would have only got them 2 points, so a big waste of a captain there. So just because so many people have him, that doesn't hurt me as much. I don't know why the heck Balbinotti started for a second game in a row. That's a third string striker. I guess it makes sense if you want to play him once to give both of your first and second strikers a rest, but there's no reason he should be starting 2 games in a row. I kind of got a little frustrated and tweeted out saying that Bobby Smiriotis, I think, must have a fantasy team with Balbinotti as his striker, because why else would he be playing him? He's just trying to catch up on points against those who have Babuli and Novak. Once again, Babuli gets subbed in. Unfortunately, doesn't do anything this game, so I only got 1 point with him. But Sabek is another player that I brought in for this week, and he got an assist. 5 points isn't that bad. So basically, the players that I brought in, aside from Brown, had good returns. Those were basically my main players this week. Aparicio, he had a decent game. Unfortunately, due to a difference in rules between the English Premier League fantasy and this fantasy, his free kick that went off the post and put in by Porter did not count as an assist. I thought it was going to. Just it hits an inanimate object. It's not intercepted by a defender at any time. So I thought that was going to get me the assist, but it doesn't. But maybe I don't deserve it anyway because he was a sub-in for Boskovic. I was really hoping for a 3-player clean sheet for Cavalry, but we'll get to that crazy game later. And Angaro doesn't even start. He had only started 1 game in a row, so I thought he was going to against Halifax. Halifax just dominated Edmonton. Edmonton looks so bad right now. It's not even just that they played Cavalry and Forge first. They just look bad in general. Aside from his tap in to knock the ball the last half ball over the line. He hasn't really done anything, but I have other transfers that I've been needing to make, so he'll be in my lineup still for a bit. And I was just a little upset that Thompson didn't, so I didn't have him in priority before Aparicio, because he did, I think, is he the one that drew the penalty? I don't know. He got an assist of some kind. And yeah, so he got an assist there, so I sat a couple points on the bench, which would have been helpful. And then the last game, the Cavalry Ottawa game, what a huge win for Ottawa. Like, what's the team to even target now? Because Ottawa's beating Cavalry, Valor's playing good defense, although kind of was lackluster against Pacific. But these teams that at the start of the season you would have wanted to target are now doing well. And for Ottawa's first win to come against first place, like, who would have expected that? I guess the team that is consistently doing the worst right now is Edmonton. And so I know that they're going to somehow win next week and score a bunch of goals, and if that's just going to be annoying as well. But you basically got to draw from a hat who you want to target every week. But yeah, so Brown didn't score. So as a captain, he just doubled his playing points up to 4. A big reason why I brought him in, he is the golden boot. He has been scoring, but it was mostly to cover points because a lot of people had Brown captain. So if he went and scored 2 goals and then people had him as captain double up, I'd be falling a lot behind. So he was basically cover for this week. And like, a lot of people have him, a lot of people have Cavalry players. So the fact that they didn't do well is a lot of the reason why a lot of people didn't do well, because a lot of people have Mavilla and Farsi, a lot of people have Brown, a lot of people have Becker. So while, yeah, some of them didn't do very well, it's hurting everybody. It's not just hurting me, which is why I actually increased in the ranks rather than decreased. I saw a lot of people with 20s, even some people with not even 20 points this week that were just getting 1 point all over the place. CPL is really hard to predict the lineups, especially in a shortened season with games coming so quickly. There's a lot of rotation. There's a lot of people just getting 1 point for a sub late in the game or something, or an early sub off, and goals against. And sometimes they don't even play at all. So it's really this. I'd actually consider Canadian Premier League fantasy harder than the English Premier League fantasy, because if you play English Premier League fantasy, you're scoring in the 40s, 50s probably every week. Like, scoring less than 45 is considered a bad week. Here I scored 30 and I went up quite a few spots. So I would definitely consider this to be more challenging, which can make it more fun sometimes. But going through the results again, it was a 2-0 win for Pacific over Valor, a 3-2 win for York 9 over Forge. That was probably one of the more exciting games so far of the Island games. A 3-1 win for Halifax over Edmonton. Edmonton just scored a late goal to nullify any clean sheets that Halifax would have had, which I guess is good, especially because it's a player that wasn't very highly owned. And a big 2-0 win for Ottawa over Cavalry. Now let's go to see what transfers were made. If you haven't seen the CanFPL _Fortune Fire Instagram account that shows the transfers, no, that's not the button I wanted to click. I want to go to my current team. So 2 weeks away, we have week 5 and then week 6, the blank game week for Forge and Cavalry. So you will see that all 3 transfers that I made involve those players. We have a new goalie, Pantemis, the keeper for Valor, and he is replacing Henry. So because Forge, they subbed off Mosin early at halftime last game, so I think at like just 50 minutes or so. As far as their U21 minutes, they still have 200 minutes. So I am assuming that Mann is going to be the backup Forge keeper, will be playing at least one of the next 2 games to cover those minutes. And I don't have a backup keeper that will be playing in Sabres Zemo, so I did need to bring in a new keeper. And he will be in my team for at least the next, until the regular season's done, I think. If Valor makes the group stage, I might keep him. I don't know. But he's going to get the start for the next 3 game weeks. I don't see Valor using a backup keeper. I think they've already met or close to meeting their quota of U21, so I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be starting the games. He has been good. The Valor defense has been good, so that's why I brought him in. Same reason that I brought in Jean-Baptiste for Mavilla. May seem crazy taking out the top fantasy scorer, But because I'm preparing for a week where I'm not playing any cavalry or forge players because they don't have a game, I want to spend as much money as I can in the players that I will be playing. Both Farsi and Boscovich are 25k players. Mavilla was a 50, so this just gives me some more money to work with for the players that I will be having in that game week. And then the last player I dropped was Brown. Brown is going to be playing a tough Pacific team, so I didn't really want to have him in, and I brought in Garcia, who has been on fire so far this year. He's been scoring every game, so I like him in the lineup this week, and I like his next two fixtures as well. Against York 9 it might be tough, maybe York 9 starting to come up, but against Valor as well. So it will be a little bit of a contradiction between what I've done, but if it's an attacking game, I might see a lot of points still, regardless of whether there's clean sheets or not. So those are my subs. Brown, Mavilla, and Henry out, and Pantemis, Jean-Baptiste, and Garcia in. Talking about the actual lineup going forward, so obviously Pantemis in goal. Cavalry, I still have the players. Farsi has attacking potential, so he was always going to see my lineup. And Boskovic, he didn't play last game, so I'm assuming he's going to be playing this week. And despite their loss and despite Pacific's win, it's possible that Cavalry can still come back and get a clean sheet, and I don't want other people to be having 2-3 Cavalry players that are looking for defensive points getting some when I'm not. So they're going to be in the starting lineup. Thompson now facing a Halifax team, which aside from last week has been pretty defensive, so they maybe are starting to attack a little more. I'm going to have him in there to cover a York 9 clean sheet. And Thompson has been getting a little forward, got the assist points from last week. If he can do that and cover and get a clean sheet, that could be good points. And Jean-Baptiste, probably the best defensive player so far this year, maybe arguably with Mavilla. Valor is a good defensive team. They might get the clean sheet, but Jean-Baptiste has scored a goal this year, and he's just, I think, a notch above a lot of the players in this league, so I could see him scoring, getting attacking returns, not just defensive returns. Next, because Forge are playing Ottawa this week. I don't know, like Ottawa just beat Cavalry, but a big part of that game, it was a very windy game. The conditions were not good, so I don't think that the skill that Cavalry had necessarily was able to show the difference of skill between Cavalry and Ottawa. So I don't think Ottawa is that next tier team yet. But I don't know, this could be a backfire. I'm gonna have Becker and Sabak in there. Becker only played half the game next year. I think that was his rest. I don't think he's getting a game rest, like a full game rest. I think he's gonna be in there, and I'm gonna captain him this week because I don't know. I don't really know if I have a great captain pick overall, except for one of my Forge players. As Cavalry's playing Pacific, you got York 9 playing Halifax, and Valor playing Edmonton. Maybe could make it Jean-Baptiste. Maybe that's who I'll change vice captain to. Right, but right now it's my two midfielders for Forge that I have in the captain spots with Becker as my captain. And if for whatever reason he doesn't play, I got Sabak to back him up. And then I got Aparicio in facing Halifax, and that's just because I don't want to play Carter because 1, Edmonton, 2, he hasn't been starting, and Blasco's facing Cavalry, so I don't want him in my midfield. I'm going to take Aparicio, and maybe he can get some points against Halifax. And up top, it better not be Balbinotti starting again, and if that's the case, I got a 50% chance that Babuli starts or Novak starts. And sometimes he can still be threatening coming off the bench, so he's going to stick in my lineup one more week. Ungaro, I'm not even expecting him to do anything. I'm expecting him to start, so I'm expecting 2 points from him. I don't even know if I want him to score and ruin my Valor clean sheets, but he's kind of a placeholder for this week, to be truly honest. It's going to be a tough week just because I have so many contradictions. If one player does well, that means another player on my team isn't going to do well. So this week, like I said, it's going to be a maintain week. I just kind of want to maintain my rank, do okay, and then try to make up points while other people have blank game weeks with Forge and Cavalry players who didn't think ahead to this week. So that is my goal going into this. And considering I am 25th, a lot of people in front of me are probably good Canadian Premier League players, so they might have thought this through ahead as well. But I don't know. I'm thinking that week a lot of people aren't preparing for it. They might have 2-3 players in their lineup that will get 0 points, or have to play players that are on their bench that just aren't starting players and hoping that they get subbed in for 1 point. So this is a maintain week. So I don't really want to be playing Ungaro, but he's going to be making the lineup this week. And Garcia, who it would ruin Thompson's clean sheet, which I'm okay with. If he's going to be bagging 2-3 goals, I think that would be awesome. He has been starting the last couple. I hope he doesn't get sat. But anyway, he's been doing really good. I hope Hart does not sit him. And that's what my lineup is looking like this week. We got Valor versus Edmonton. I'd honestly just prefer Ungaro does nothing, and Valor gets 2 clean sheets, and hopefully a Jean-Baptiste attacking return of some kind. Halifax, York 9, hoping Garcia goals. If Thompson can get an assist or something, that's fine. I don't care. Goals for York 9 don't really hurt me as much. I'm just hoping DiChiara doesn't get more points. That guy's crushing it, and a lot of people have him, so I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Cavalry and Pacific, that'll be a good matchup. I'm hoping for the Cavalry clean sheet because I'm sitting my Pacific players right now. And Forge, Ottawa. Forge, just please play the players I have in and crush them, please, because I do not want to see any more Acuna points. That's getting really annoying because I don't have him, and he's doing well against teams that he shouldn't be. But honestly, he seemed like one of the best, if not the best player in the Canadian Premier League right now, and he's just got that experience. He's got that touch of a next level Canadian Premier League player, just like Jean-Baptiste does. And it shows, and even though he's an Atletico Ottawa player, if you have him on your team, it's a smart thing to do. I just don't have the transfers for that right now because I'm getting ready for game week 6. If you can guess, my next transfers, I can probably already tell you, are going to be Becker, Sabak, and Babuli out, a triple Forge purge there. And I haven't really fully decided who I'm bringing in, but based on the game week 6 player transfers, I think I'll be bringing in Bustos to face Atletico Ottawa. And for my midfield, I don't know yet. It'll probably be a Halifax player or a York 9. Bring a York 9. Maybe it'll be DiChiara that week to try to cover some of those points. But that's, I guess, for a future video. Otherwise, that's my team this week. Good luck to everyone. Hopefully, if you're watching, you also see ahead what's coming up in game week 6 with no Cavalry and Forge players. And if not, I hope they forget about it and I can make up some ranks that way. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you in a future video. Please subscribe to the channel. Bye.